Hey, welcome to this week's deep dive where we go into all sorts of wonderful things about AI. You can ask any questions in the chat once you subscribe. You can ask anything you like and we can get into it and talk about it, which will be super fun. I would love to do that with you. But what we're going to cover this week is turning content into conversations into content, right? So most of us have loads of conversations, whether it's with customers, our own team, we maybe do stage presentations like this. And then it kind of dies on the vine, right? We kind of do the thing, we add the value, we talk to the people, and then it's gone. It's nothing and it's finished. Whereas what I want to do today is give you a quick automated workflow that can actually get you from the beginning of like having the conversation to actually having the PDF that's out there in the world. But this was inspired by Liz, my wife, who was talking to one of our clients who asked for a piece of advice, and she did some research and got quite kind of generic advice, which is all well and good. It wasn't wrong. It was like, you do this, step 1, step 2, step 3, you do these all the way through. It was how do you take that and how do you turn that into something that's actually more usable, less generic, and more you. So that is what we're going to work through today. Now, instead of just talking about it, what I thought we'd do is actually show it on screen. So we're actually going to walk through and go through it and actually do it. I'm going to do it for you. Ready? Let's go. Okay, let's do it. So, first thing we're going to have to do is come across to Claude, which you should now see on your screen if I've got all of this working right. And I'm just going to come into here and say, I want you to scan through my conversations last week in Zoom and Fathom and find any interesting IP slash, one sec, IP, I'm so used to voice typing, let's just do that again, IP, find any IP slash viewpoints that I can use to turn into content. I'm demoing this live on stage, so do not expose anything embarrassing or any names of people, names slash personally identifiable information of anyone on the calls. So with this done, it's going to literally look through. So what I've done is I've walked through my connectors, which we can show you a little bit later on if you want. I've got a connector here and you can see I've got connections through to Fathom and I've got connections through to Zoom. So it can go through all of those without me having to do anything, and it can find everything that I spoke about last week and it can pull out an interesting perspective. Now, if I was doing this from a specific call, so if I was like, hey, it was on this call on Tuesday at 3 p.m, right? I could do it that way instead. Go and find this call Tuesday at 3 p.m. But I think it's more fun to do it this way because then you can just run it at the end of the week and it can go and find as many examples as you want. You can find 1 example, 2 examples, 3 examples, however many are actually going to work for you. So you can see it's running through. I'm going to leave that running for a few seconds and talk it through. If you don't have your connectors installed, this would be a great time to go and get that done. Well, not now, because now you're watching me, but after you've watched me, then you should go and get it done. Connectors allow Claude, ChatGPT, to be the orchestrator of the experience. So instead of us having to go and find everything every time, we can just ask Claude and ChatGPT to go and find them, and we can start chaining them together. We can say, you're going to go here and find this, and then post this on Slack, and then push this onto Todoist, so we can orchestrate the entire workflow whilst we're living inside ChatGPT or inside Claude. Because what I don't want you to have to do is continue your life at the moment, which is probably kind of copy and paste quite a bit. So you'd have to go to Fathom, find the thing, copy the transcript, come back to Claude, paste in the transcript, and keep going like that. We don't want that. So it's still running. It's listed my Zoom meeting topics and times. It's now doing the same in Fathom. So it's about a minute away-ish of finding those things. And because we're using Claude, what we can see is we can actually see the progress as it does it. So up here we can see progress. Point number 1 was pulling the Fathom recordings. Point number 2 is pulling the Zoom recordings, which is just about to finish now. Number 3 will be to extract the interesting IP and viewpoints. So it's finished 1, it's finished 2. Then number 4 was to scrub any personally identifiable information. Easy for me to say. Personally identifiable information. Yeah. And prep them for stage delivery. And then number 5 is to deliver content as a brief to me. So it's now doing number 3. It's looking through every call I did last week. So 30 hours worth of calls. It's finding the interesting thing. You can see it's created the content nuggets August week 3 to 9 and so on and so forth. Scan the draft just to make sure it didn't have any names in. No PII survived, and here we've got it. So pulled from last week's Zoom Fathom call library, 48 recordings. Everything below is scrubbed clean. No names, no company names, no client details. I've organized these into 3 buckets: AI agents, marketing and sales systems, and the mindset and strategy. Every nugget has a core idea plus the content angle we can run with. Right, okay, cool. So we have AI and agents become the manager, not the operator. The execution is the reward, not the prerequisite. Give the agent a goal, not a task list. Fix the input, not the output. 2 tools, 2 jobs. Always verify AI output. And then we can see here, marketing and sales systems, solve the traffic first, always. The stacking, yes, is journey. Strategy is 80% of the work, tactics are 20%. Congruence beats cleverness. Man, I said some smart stuff. The market middle is dying. The operator trap was a recurring phrase, and giving agents and people a defined measurable goal or they drift. Okay, so I like this one. I like this one. And then I also want to stack that with this one. I think that stacks well with this one. So now what I can do with those 2 things done, I can say those are the ones I like. I'm just going to say confirm you understand and let's junk the rest. Okay, so I want to just get rid of the others for the moment. We could ask it to do one for each of them, to be completely honest. But we're just going to say that we like these 2. These are good. Thanks very much. And then once it's done that, I want to bring in some other sources into these things. So with that done, where we can go now is it can say, what do you want done with it? I'm just going to say, let me drive. I'll tell you. Got a visitor. School holidays. Bye, Sam.
Bye. I was going to ask you a question.
Bye. Visitors on the summer holidays. Okay. So, stop trying to do your own thing, do the thing I've asked for. Cool. So, here's what I want you to do now, Jet. I want you to go and do deep research on the web. I want you to find anything that connects with these points. I'd like quotes from famous authors or famous people, MIT, Harvard, Yale, authoritative sources that back up these perspectives for me. Because what we're going to do with that is we're working towards producing a framework or a checklist or a point that we can give people as a lead magnet. I don't want you to produce the lead magnet yet, but I want you to go and find some other sources that we can add to beef this up. And then we'll see where we get to. So go and do me some research around the subject of agentic goals, drifts, and let's use the role goal backstory tools framework that we've developed, and in a second we're going to have to give it a name, but go and do that for me. Okay, so let's just recap where we are and what we've done and how that's worked so far. So the first thing we asked it to do is look through Zoom and Fathom and find any content that was worthy of extraction. So when did I say something super smart to somebody, and how can we use that? That's the first thing we did. Second thing we did is we got the list back. It gave us 13 points. I think, was it 13? Felt it was certainly a lot. 13 points, yep. And we told it, I was like, you know what, I actually like that one and that one. I think they're kind of the same thing. So let's smush those together a bit. We then asked it to confirm it understood, and then it started to drift a bit itself. It's like, hey, what do you want to do with this? It was trying to be helpful. I'm like, stop being helpful, just do what I'm asking for right now. And then lastly, we said, now go and do some research and find other things that we can add into this story. So if you see here, it went on to Wiki, it went to What Matters, it went to Crew AI, DeepMind Google. It's doing all sorts of web searches now to try and find anything that backs up my perspective. Now notice I gave it not specific direction, not explicit. I didn't say you can only go to Harvard, Yale, MIT. I said things like Harvard, Yale, MIT, famous authors, famous businessmen. Because if I'm going to add stuff into my IP, I want it to support my point, but I also want it to position me as a leader. I don't want it to position me as a schmuck. And I certainly don't want to call in my competition stuff. So it's going through my goals. It's looking at Peter Drucker. Now it just went through Harvard Business Review. It's going to keep going and keep going for another few minutes until it gets everything. So this would be a good point for me to say, if you're watching this, you should like and subscribe and hit all of the buttons, please. That would be great. And if you want to talk to us in the chat, I am watching it, so it's good to see some of my normal people here. Good to see you. And obviously, if you've subscribed, then you can talk and we can dive into anything that you want. So if you have any questions as we go through this, please put them in the chat and we can get into it. Let's see where it's up to. Okay, so it's doing another set of searches. Let's have a look at the progress. It's researching goal setting, psychology, management theory, agentic AI, goal research, agent framework roots, and then it's going to compile a research brief with citations. It's pretty cool. So it's going through all of these now in order to give me an answer to to give me more information. So we've taken this one idea that I said a few times on a call, which is my IP, and we're now going and backing up that view with other people so we can bring them all together. So it's research management theory, it's finished, goal research setting, it's finished, agentic AI, it's finished, role goal backstory tool framework roots is finished, and now it's compiling that into a research brief for me, which is all pretty fun. If we close that down, I think we might get some more space for us. So where are we at? We have the Fathom, we have the Zoom, we have the IP, we have scrubbed the PII, we've delivered the content brief to me, I chose what content I wanted, and now it's gone and done a whole bunch of research, and now it's compiling this research brief for me. And we haven't yet left Claude. We're fully in Claude. So it's going to come back in about, I would say, 30 seconds probably, and it's going to give me its research brief. We're then going to ask it what the best tool that we could use from that would be. So that's the next thing we're going to do. Okay, so good, we've got this now. Research brief, the human side of goals drive performance, Locke and Latham's goal setting theories, self-determination theory from Decky and Ryan, real written goal studies, the management world proof, this is how goal clarity builds, Peter Drucker, Andy Grove, evaluating, DeepMind from Google, Harvard Business Review, MIT, myth busting from Yale, perfect. Worth flagging before you name this thing, the exact role, goal, story, backstory, tools, structure is already the way of defining an individual. Yep. This is genuinely useful. It means you're either teaching, not just personally. It's a converged, same structure that a serious engineering framework arrives on. Correct? If you want the framework to feel proprietary, you're going to have to name it distinctly enough that it doesn't read as the Crew AI thing to anyone technical in the room. What this now gives you, you have a landmark psychology theory, a motivation theory, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, so now with that done, we can say, fantastic. So, the role, goal, and backstory is what we're going to stick with because it works. We do want to give it an approach. So I think the framework that we should use should be a framework to define the role, goal, and backstory. So I think it should be a framework of how to define your role, goal, and backstory, and a walkthrough. And I think it should reference the studies that we've used in order to give it some substance and some weight. Tell me how you think that sounds before we do anything. Okay. So I think it's going to come back and say, that's a brilliant idea, because it's a brilliant idea. Because we don't want to take something that doesn't belong to us and make it sound like it does belong to us, but we do want unique IP around the process. And if it looked through the calls that it looked through, the 48 calls, I have discussed how to develop a role, goal, and backstory framework for an agent quite a few times. So I think that's going to take another 10-20 seconds, and then we should be good. Now we have several models that we could use here. We spoke about this last week. I think we have Opus, we have Sonnet, we have Fable, we have Haiku. As a general rule, you want to stick in the middle. You want the balance of speed and capability. So as a general rule, unless you know otherwise to change it, you probably want to stick in Claude's case with Sonnet, and in ChatGPT's case, you probably want to stick with Terra. It goes Luna, Terra, Sol, Sol Max. So it's come back. We are ready and we are good. We have, all right, here's the honest reads. What's strong? 3-part memorable teach me under 2 minutes on stage and it solves a real problem. 3 things I'd push back on. You're dropping tools. No, we're going to add the tools. The order should probably goal, not roll first. Your whole thesis from the meeting you like to give it a goal, not a task list. Locke and Latham's whole framework hands off the goal being specific and measurable. Yep. Be upfront that the role goal already exists in career and don't let someone else say it. This maps how to already structure, you're not inventing, you're making it usable, it reads as credibility. One more thing worth a straight answer from me not guessing is this a generic how to brief any AI agent framework for a broad audience, or is it specifically the onboarding doorway into your own agent building system? Okay, so that's good. So first of all, we're definitely not dropping the tools. They use role goal backstory, so are we going to change that to goal role backstory? Okay, I'm good with that if you want. I'm good with mentioning it comes with someone else. From somewhere else, we can use that as the lead-in of multiple agentic systems use this framework, but I get asked quite regularly, how do people put this together? So I've given you a step-by-step workflow, you know what I mean? A step-by-step guide in order to work out how these work and how these work for you. So this is that's what I think we do. Let me know what you think. Okay. A quick look at the chat. Find really smart stuff that other people were doing. Yes, I mean, basically. Confirm throughout the process, working with you and still on task, 100%. Love this one, it doesn't have to think and be clever because it already was. Yes, I mean, it's this infusion of all of this other content that we can get from all of these other places that really, really makes a difference. Role goal backstory key insights. Thank you. Yeah, it really does make a difference, not only to how well the agents perform, but also to how easy it is for us to brief them and put them together. Okay. I'm glad that's locked. So the goal is goal role backstory tools, and up front you say something this mirrors the structure they already use. And yes, this is a step-by-step guide for how people to actually work them out for themselves and how it specifically applies to them. That's the difference between someone nodding and someone finishing it. One gap I'd flag, just so it's a decision, not an accident. Right now the plan is here's the framework, here's the questions. That's good, but people freeze on blank pages. I'd strongly push for one fully worked example running through all 4 steps. A generic made-up business, not a real client, given the stage constraints, so people see how it can be applied. The other thing I do while building it, the one research point to each of the 4 sections, so each one is earned. That's cool, I like that idea. The last one about tools also gives you a genuinely good stage line. The tighter you scope what it's allowed to touch, the less room it has to be creative in the wrong direction. Do you want me to draft the actual outline next? Section by section, question per section, plus before it writes the real copy. Yeah, generate me the outline, please. So you can use this same technique in multiple different ways. You can either work as I have, of like, hey, here's something from my Zoom, or you can actually go the other way, which was actually Liz's example of how you could use this. Of a client's just asked me how we do X, so I went to Claude and I did the research, and Claude gave me the wonderful 10-step process, but it was generic because that's the nature of an AI search. It's going to get back the average answer that then doesn't include your viewpoints and your beliefs and your perspectives. So you can do it either way. You can either do it the way we're doing it today, or you can do it the other way. And the other way would be to say, hey, a client just asked me how they do this, or what the strategy is behind this, or how do they grow their SEO or GEO, or whatever it might be. And Claude comes back with the perfect answer. But the perfect answer is generic, a little bit vanilla, and not very interesting. So what you can then do is say, go and look in my Google Drive, go and look in my Slack, go and look in my Fathom, go and look in my Zoom, go and look at all the sources you have available to you, and look at what I think about this, and then layer this in instead. Okay, so we can go either way. We can either start with our IP, which is what we did, and then we can go and find the generic information to add to our IP to create something unique, or we can go the other way around, and we can start with the generic information, and then we can go and find our viewpoints that match it, and then mush those back together. So, with that said, we have a working system. So let's go and have a look at it. 9-section, goal first as agreed, research woven section by section instead of dumped up top, and one running a front desk. For example, generic services business, nothing traceable, that carries all the 4 steps. So working title only, the goal role backstory tools method until we name it properly. Format assumption is it's a step-by-step workbook, matches your branded PDF, one running working example, threads together. Open and hook, the vending machine versus new hire. Most people brief AR at their pressing buttons on the machine. The people getting real leverage onboarding a new hire. Yes. One-line framing of the 4-part, no explanation. Short credibility beat. Yes. Why this works. 1-paragraph plain language around Lock Latham. AI agents. Closed it with this. Keep it to 150 words max. The framework at a glance. Step 1 is the goal. Step 2 is the role. Step 3 is the backstory. Step 3? Step 5 is the back. Section 5 is step 3. Section 6 is step 4, the tools. 7, putting it together. 8, the close. I'm pretty happy with this. I think that under the goal, I would also like a what not to do section. Thinking about this, I think I want another section. So you've got goals, roles, backstory, tools. I kind of like a guardrails or the definition of failure or something of telling the agent what would be a fail. Right? We've given it the goal, which is what is a success, but we haven't given it any kind of guardrails. So I think we need to add guardrails in there or something along those lines. And then I think we should find an acronym. I love a good acronym. So you've got goals, roles, backstories, tools, and now you've got guardrails. So we're going to have to change each of those letters to something else so that we end up with a sexy acronym. So number 1, add in a guardrail section and redo the outline. Once you've done that, I want you to come back and I want you to give me some naming choices. Let's have a quick look at the chat whilst I'm waiting. What are the highest value recordings used? Does it work better for coaching rather than other services? Great question. I think this works equally well for coaches, consultants, anyone that does sales calls. It's surprising how much IP and how much viewpoints just leak out of us everywhere. In the smallest of sentences, the smallest of calls, we can often end up producing IP, and it just sits there and it never actually does anything. So I think you can use it for anything. Is it able to reliably find minute markers in the videos to quickly find the recordings and help you clip them for social media? Yes, 100%. You can use Descript as an MCP server, like a connector. You can also use ChatCut. There's multiple tools that you can use. You can actually upload the video as well, and it can transcribe it itself and find the minute markers for those as well. Yes, you can go either way. The other thing that you can also look at doing, thank you on my microphone, is that any better? Love you. The other thing we can also look at doing if we want to is if we want the research to be more weighty, more useful, then we can go another side of things and we can actually push it all the way through and use like a Manus or a Perplexity research. But what I wanted to do today was keep everything inside Claude. And I'll show you why in a second, because we're about to do something even more interesting with this when this finishes. Okay, I'm going to come back to just me for a second. So, it's working through what it regards as a complex response. I love it when it says it's complex. I'm like, how is this bit the complex bit? So what's it doing now? Yeah, it's looking at trying to find frameworks for the goals, and then it's cycling through alphabetical combinations to find me an acronym. So maybe I shouldn't have said do that. I like an acronym. Who doesn't like an acronym? You can't have a framework without an acronym. Come on. So it's working through that for the moment. Is anyone already trying to guess this? Like goals, roles, backstory, tools, guardrails. Goals could be objectives. It gives you a vowel. Roles. Goals, backstory, Rob. Tools, Rob T. Is it just me? Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me that's trying to form this into an acronym in my head whilst I'm live on stage. Brilliant. Okay, it is creating the file now and working through it and giving me some choices. If you can't get an acronym, you can always do the number like the 7Ps or the 3P method or the triple P method. That works as well. Okay. Whilst it's doing it, actually, let me talk about why this acronym thing is important. One of the things that most people get wrong is they try and sell their own information. And they try and sell their own information by selling themselves. And you can't sell yourself. What you can sell is a framework. What you can sell is an approach. What you can sell is a methodology, something that you have invented. Because the thing that you've invented is worth something. In the minds of people, it becomes a product. It's a commodity that can now be purchased. Let me give you an example. If I said, hey, come on board in our program and I'm going to teach you how to run your business and compound your wins through so that you can achieve a 20% increase in profit over the next 4 weeks. That sounds sexy. But if I turn around and say, over the last 30 years, I have developed a framework that allows companies to increase their profits by 20% in a few weeks. It's called Compound 20. I'm introducing Compound 20 on Wednesday. Click here, sign up, do the thing, come and visit me. That captures people's attention a lot quicker. Because they're like, oh, what's this thing Compound 20? That's unique, it's special, it's wonderful, it's magical. I must have this. By the way, it is special, wonderful, magical. But let's see what we're up to. Okay. Outlines updated, guardrails sit after the goal, define winning, then define losing before you touch the identity, the context, and the access. And I pulled the things it should never do out of the backstory. Nice. Now the fun part, the acronym. Since goals and guardrails both start with G, at least one of the 5 words has to flex. So I went further down and found some combos where the acronyms spell an actual word. So let's go with, should we go with craft? Forge. I'm good with any of those. What do you think? So let's let it choose what it thinks we should do instead of us choosing what we think it should do. And that might have helped the audio a bit, I'm not sure. We shall see. So it likes craft. It's not even close. It's the only one where the two concepts grasp, the two easiest concepts to grasp stay exactly as they are. Good choice. Nobody has to be taught what T stands for. The other 3 swaps are all intuitive. Context, aim, fail safe. None of them need a footnote to land, and craft your agent is a genuinely good call. Forge was the runner-up, so I locked it in. One flag before we run with it. The acronym letter order doesn't match the teaching order. That's completely normal for acronym frameworks. The name doesn't have to walk in the same order, but worth deciding on purpose rather than by accident. I'll keep the acronym as craft and keep teaching it the same way SMART gets out of the last letters out of place. Agreed and confirmed. Let's write up the full thing. So Liz just asked, would we use, why wouldn't you let your ICA choose? Great question. The answer is I would suggest everybody does, because I've spent so much of my time in Claude. My Claude is already really well configured as to who my ICA is and the way we make decisions and how we do them. So it's kind of already infused in there. But absolutely, if you're starting this new, or you're a bit earlier on in the journey, you want to provide who your ideal customer is and let your ideal customer be part of that decision-making process. So it's now going to go and it did that first set of research the first time round, which was just to find out, okay, what points was it bringing in? It's now doing further research into those to go and get the writing. And in a few minutes, it's going to come back and say, here is your 12-page document. We are 29 minutes into this. So and I'm saying that just to give everyone a frame of reference of where we are, of what we've achieved in that time, and what you can hope to achieve in that time. So if you have your connectors set up, first thing we did is say, go and look at all my calls from last week. Once we've done that, we asked it to extract IP, things we've discussed during the week. It found those 13 things. I like 2 of them, put them together. Then we asked it to go and do deep research around the various different supporting arguments from places like Harvard Business Review, places like Yale, MIT, Harvard, Stanford, well-renowned authors or well-renowned businesses, so that we could validate our opinions. We then went a little bit back and forth as to what we're going to produce. Are we going to produce a framework? Are we going to produce a checklist? How are we going to present this information to the world? We've gone through the wonderful acronym naming exercise so that we have something that we can claim that is our own. And in about another minute and a half, it'll have finished writing the draft for us to send out. Oh, graft. Goals, roles, attitude, refinement, and tails. See, everybody does like a good acronym. Okay, it has finished this, so we can see where this is now. So, if you open the hook, most people do this. Why this works, the framework at a glance. Important note. Context role, aim, first if tools. Here's how you build it. Step 1, build out this piece. Step 2, build out this piece. Step 3, build out this. Step 4, build out this. Step 5, build out this. Putting it all together, it's going to look like this. Here are the sources. Opening items, the close section has a placeholder. For a CTA, let's bring them, want to go deeper into AI, join my Clubhouse program, and then go to peterswain.com and find the URL for the joining link for that. The tone, I don't want the edge and profanity of the LinkedIn stuff. This is fine as it is. This is good. It's edgy. Visual, a 1-page craft diagram before this goes in. Let's do the diagram once we've got it in. That's cool. And yes, we'll then do the PDF. So CTA is going to be the Clubhouse program. I'm good with the tone. The visual, the PDF we're going to do together now. So go ahead, produce the visual, and then give me the branded PDF. Use my branded PDF skill in order to produce that. Rock and roll. What is the process of protecting that IP, if any? It's such a good question. I don't think there's a value to it nowadays. I think that, and I know some people certainly disagree with me, but in my opinion, we're beyond the point of being able to protect IP, because people can produce anything they want whenever they want. So I think the only message is to run faster and harder with it instead of looking to protect it. Now that said, as soon as it's out there, and as soon as it's deployed on the web and wherever else it might be, it is ours, and we know it's ours, and we don't need to register trademarks and etc. because it's ours. But if we're doing something bigger and more voluminous, consult with an attorney. Okay, it's amazing to see how much work you can shift into AI if you know how to do it. Thank you, I appreciate that. Honestly, the first way to get there is just to be constantly asking that question of what is the AI first workflow? Like, how can AI help you with this? Because it constantly gets said in our world, which is if it uses one of these, or it uses one of these, then AI can do it as well as you can. So all we have to do is remind ourselves that that is the case, and then we start finding these things. Now, most of the things I'm showing you here, I didn't know how to do. No one taught them to me. I went into Claude and said, I know the recording's in Fathom somewhere. Can you find it? How do we do that? And it went, sure, you do it like this, this, and this. So it, more often than not, I'm speaking into my goal. I'm telling it what I want to achieve, and I'm letting it tell me how to get it done. And then I'm a meat puppet. I sit and press the buttons that it tells me to press. And over time, as we do that, then it then becomes bigger, better, and bolder. And I understand how it works. It understands how I work, and we kind of meet together in the middle. So we have a branded PDF skill. So this is something that's already been set up, and it's currently running that to go and create as the PDF. So in a few minutes, we will have a finished PDF. Hold this space. Now, whilst it's doing that, I'm going to see if we have Composio installed here as well. So we're going to take this a step further. Because why not? Let's take it a step further. Why don't we take this further and just keep layering on these things? So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to actually get it, once it's done this, to produce the LinkedIn post as well. So I'm going to start queuing up these messages. So whilst it's doing this, you'll see it says stopped here. It's going to queue them. With that done, what would be the contrarian angle that we could take in LinkedIn in order to make this an interesting LinkedIn post where we bring this framework to the world? So would it just be as simple as agentic frameworks speak often into X, Y, and Z, but very rarely do they explain how to get it done? I've put together the guide. Ping me and I'll get it back to you. So first of all, what is the LinkedIn post going to be? Second of all, once we've got the LinkedIn post, how are we actually going to deliver the lead magnet to somebody? Can Composio check messages? So Composio has a LinkedIn connection, as you know. So Composio can write the LinkedIn piece. Can Composio watch the comments and then DM people through that LinkedIn thing? Or is there another piece of software that I need to do, like the ManyChat comment this? Is there anything that can do that for LinkedIn? Is I guess what my question is. Or if you've got a better question, then let me know. So we can sit and queue this message, but I want to actually get the answer out the other side first. I'm just going to paste that prompt into a text file whilst we're waiting for this to finish. Okay, let's check back in with the chat. If it's the first time you're watching it, or first time engaging with me or interacting with me, thank you and welcome. It's good to see you. It's good to meet you. If you subscribe to the channel like this, we do this every week. So instead of kind of like talking esoterically, basically I got upset with people claiming that all of their AI automations could do all these wonderful things and never actually proving that they could do them. So what I thought we'd do is do it live. This isn't pre-recorded. This is me doing it in front of you, so you can see it working and you can decide whether it can work for you. So if you want to comment, want to join in, comment on the chat. We are reading them live, so like, subscribe, and then we can actually watch what you're saying. What is Composio? So Composio is a router for those connectors that we spoke about earlier. So connectors allow Claude to be the conductor, and it can control Fathom, Zoom, QuickBooks, Xero, Gmail, Calendar, literally thousands and thousands of mainline systems. Composio is a router for some of those connections. So instead of having to connect all of them separately, what we can do is we can connect Claude to Composio, and then Composio to all of those tools, and then we can route the requests through Composio. It's just a hygiene layer. It's just a tidier way to add these connections in a way that we can all watch and work with. So it's created the diagram, and it's now checking that the diagram reads the way that it wants it to read. There's loads happening here. This is fascinating, or fascinating for me. So what you normally see is just this, but I just thought I'd have a quick look and see what it's doing. So it read the diagram, edited it, re-rendered it, read it, rendered it, read it, edited it, re-rendered it, read it. So it's producing it, and then it's visually checking it, and then it's producing it again, and it's going in that loop until it gets it correct. So it just got rid of a margin. It's now checking it with a different viewport. It's reading so it's on version 3 now. and it's 7 minutes in, which is fantastic for quality, but not so fantastic when you're on stage trying to show people. So, either way. Let's carry on looking at the questions whilst we get this done. This is normally, because we normally do these live on Zoom, or we used to do these live on Zoom, this is normally where I'd say, Liz, fill some dead radio air for me. And she'd ask me a great question. So let me look through the chat and do that this way anyway. Lisa loves a good acronym. I knew you would, Lisa. I knew there was a reason I liked you. I see we've gone into a little bit of a graft and grift conversation. Let's back out of that one. Is this like an automatic loop as people speak of? So, yeah, it's not a Ralph loop, but it is an automated loop because we've got it on high thinking here. So you can see the effort is on high, means it will automatically start working on itself. Now, I also have a custom instruction in here, and the custom instruction is told to always check its own work and never tell me to check its work for it. Because it's one of the things that drives me crazy with AI. It goes, I'm finished. I'm like, no, you're not. That's not finished. It's rubbish. Go back and fix it. Go back and fix it. Because I start feeling like I'm working for the AI, not it's working for me, which really drives me nuts. Ralph, no, it's not Ralph as in King Ralph. It's Ralph as in Ralph from The Simpsons. And it was an in-joke of a bunch of developers that were basically like, if you tell it to be done, and you tell it to keep working and keep checking, then eventually it'll get it right. So it's a reference to Ralph, who most would argue in Simpsons is somewhat of a simpleton. I'm trying to be nice. Why am I trying to be nice to a cartoon? That's a bit weird. I feel bad for Ralph, like being ever known as being the stupid one, but that's what it was. So yeah, the Ralph loop is the concept of development through stupidity instead of being intellectual. Instead of trying to get it right, you don't worry about whether you get it right, you just tell it to do it, check its own work, and then have another go and have another go. And you used to do these things, instead of using expensive models like, say, Opus or Fable, you'd use the cheapest model, like Haiku, and you just set it running all night and just tell it to be done and just go in a very tight loop. But yeah, it's going through it. We're on version 4 full now. I'll show you what I'm watching. All this for a diagram. In a second I might tell it, just for the sake of the time we have together, to not bother with the diagram. Maybe we don't need the diagram for this. Rendering it via print to PDF instead of a screenshot to see what happens. It's quite a bit of work for a diagram, eh? Ralph was in King Ralph. Who was King Ralph, Liz? That's a good question for you. Or anyone in the chat. Zoom into the bottom left corner of the screenshot window. Reading the footer crop 3. Wow. We are really going for it. Whilst we're here, we might as well go and check through on the other side as well. These are fantastic lessons. Okay, I think that you don't want to sit and watch this render for the next 18 minutes. So I'm going to give it another 30 seconds and see if it finishes. And if it finishes in the next 30 seconds, then we'll go with it. And if not, we'll stop it and tell it that we don't need the diagram. So we're on a countdown. Claude, you're on a countdown. A 1991 movie where John Goodman became King of the UK. Really? I didn't know this. Hey, Claude, King Ralph is a 1991 movie where John Goodman became King of the UK. Is this actually worth me paying any attention to? Should I go and watch this, or can I actually not bother? So, an actual question. How often do you decide the juice is not worth the squeeze? Very, very rarely. Because what you just saw, or what you heard, is what I normally do when this is happening. You can have multiple conversations ongoing at the same time. So this here is producing the diagram. And I decided to use that time to go and find out about King Ralph. So what I will often have happening is I'll have more than one conversation happening at once, working on multiple different things. So instead of saying, let's just ignore this, let's abandon this, I'll just go, okay, you're working on this, I'll go and work on this at the same time. This gets a little bit crazy because it ends up with, I've got multiple Claude Code sessions running on the laptop at the moment. So this one here is reviewing ad spend data next to me, and is looking at changes to the funnel. It's actually deploying changes to the funnel as we speak. Across the weekend, I can often end up with 9 of these happening at the same time. So you've got sessions working on the laptop, then you've got sessions that I'm doing as well. So you've got multiple different things happening at once. So there's normally at least 9 different code or Claude co-work projects happening at the same time. The honest verdict is amiable. Goodman's likable as hell and a tool that elevates anything, but the plot is as thin as tissue paper and it plays every beat exactly how you'd expect. Okay, that sounds good. Hey Claude, add to Todoist for me that I should watch King Ralph tomorrow at 11 a.m. You'll need to use Composio, I think, to access Todoist. Put it in the personal project and assign it to me. So it sounds like it's perfect background TV watching whilst we're watching Claude Code sessions work. Okay, let's come back over to here. So the diagram rendered fine. You can see we now have aim, failsafe, role, how to brief an AI agent, the craft framework. Perfect, that's all we needed. Now let's render this into a PDF, 11 pages. It's going to convert them to images, visually inspect every page. So it's working on that. Let's come back over here. Always allow. So Composio is now going to go to Todoist and I add that to my to-do list for tomorrow so that I remember that I want to watch this random film that I just found out about. Okay. Add question, we answered that. If you have time, can you say a few words about the cost and speed versus capability of the AI Claude models? Yeah, I think that would be really useful. So, and thank you, because next, when this now reruns through that content scraper that we just said, it's going to grab this and I can then do some more content on it. So, we have 3 main models and 1 ancillary model. The 3 main models we have are Haiku, Sonnet, Opus, and then we have an ancillary model, Fable, which some people will have heard of. The main ones are Haiku, Sonnet, and Opus. They're all at slightly different version numbers as well. I think they're all now at version 5. Haiku might still be at 4.8, but it's kind of irrelevant. As they progress, they go from more expensive, quicker, cheaper, etc. So the cheapest version, Haiku, is also the quickest to run. Opus is the most expensive and it's the longest to run. Okay, so Haiku, cheapest and quickest, Opus, most expensive, longest running, and then Sonnet sits in the middle. So we want to use the right model for the right thing. Very rarely, honestly, do we want to use Haiku. Haiku is going to be useful for grammar checking something. That would be a great Haiku job, or how do I cook this thing, take a picture of it, Haiku tells you. That's going to be a great thing for that. Haiku is very prosaic. It's still very good, but it's very basic. We use Haiku in some of our agentic stuff to classify sentiment. So read a piece of text and tell us whether it's a positive comment or a negative comment. That's a good job for Haiku. Those kind of things. Given these 10 names, do you think these people are male or female? Haiku is very good at that. So if you think of it as not kindergarten, but like sub-teenager, you can give it a simple task that requires some level of intelligence and it can do that task. Opus, on the other hand, can do wild things. Opus, you can say, plan my P&L for the next 12 months and give me 3 different scenarios. Those scenarios based on 5% churn, 10% churn, and 15% churn, based on this price point, this price point, and this price point. I want you to look up real world data and factor in their models of how ascension happens. Make sure that you balance 1 payments and 3 payments. You can give it 50 different variables at the same time. That would take a human weeks to model those scenarios out, and it will come back and say, great, here they are, and give you the graphs and give you the inflection points. You can say, convert that into an interactive dashboard so I can drag around the variables to see how things move, when things happen, how things happen. So there's multiple different things that Opus can do. Opus can and Fable can write a book in one go, which Sonnet can't do. Opus is the best at modeling your writing style. Sonnet is very good at just writing any writing style. So I hope that helped. So as a general rule, if in doubt, stick in Sonnet. If you're trying to push the different variables and factors that it needs to work on at the same time, then you can go and use Opus. If you've got something super quick and super easy, then you stick into Haiku. So where are we at? Okay, this has added Watch King Ralph into my personal project, which is fine. Hey, across in the UK, is that available on Apple TV, or is it on Now TV, or is it on Netflix or Amazon Prime? Can you go and do the research and find out where I can actually watch that? And when you find out where I can watch it, can you add it into the Todoist in the description, please? Right, let's leave that running. I can go and find out how I can watch King Ralph, which I feel I need to watch now. It's become part of the show. Okay, so let's come back over here. Right, rock and roll. So, the craft framework, how to brief an AI agent like you're onboarding a new hire, not program a vending machine. Build it in this order. So let me see if I can make this a bit bigger for you. Yeah, there you are. Stop briefing it like a vending machine. Most people talk to it. 5 pieces, why this works. The framework at a glance. Important, the orders matter. The aim. Lock and Latham's research. Work it out. This is worked example. Fail safe. Example. Role. Example. Context. Example. Tools. Example. The finished brief looks like this. Read that back. It's not a prompt. Correct. Go deeper. This is the work we do in Clubhouse. Join us here. Sources. So I love all of that, apart from, hey, I would like the call to action of go deeper to just be on its own in the middle of a new page, and I'd like the sources to be on their own page as well. So instead of this being a 10-page document, I think it will become a 12-page document, because we'll end page 9 with the recap, and then the go deeper box just sits on its own in the middle of a page, and then the sources go on the next page. So we end up with those 2 pages nicely separated out. Everything else looks pretty good to me. So yeah, make those 2 changes, and then we're going to work on to something else that I'll tell you about in a second. Okay. Extremely helpful, my absolute pleasure. Both what was being taught and the output example you created are extreme value. Many thanks. Pleasure. Hopefully, you all saw the other thing that we did as well, which I think was in some ways just as cool, which is the project where it's written to my to-do list for tomorrow without me even leaving Claude. So this is the majority of my workflow looks like this, of me going, okay, you just said something, let me put it into Claude. What does Claude think? Because Claude knows me, it knows my sense of humour, it knows what I like, it knows what I don't like, it knows what I do like. It has access to my to-do list, it has access to my calendar. And in a second, it's going to have access to where I can watch things on TV. So the side thought that would normally in the past would derail me, actually these things now don't. So King Ralph isn't on Netflix, Prime or Now, it's pay only. Yeah. $3.49 to rent or $5.99. I've added to the description of the task for you where to watch it. Okay, good. So It's going to compact the chat because we've done quite a bit of work here. So it's going to move, as we said in a second, it's just going to move this and this bit onto its own page in a second. And once we've done that, we're going to do the final piece of this, which is work out how we put this on LinkedIn. So this is all done. We just need it to finish this compacting the chat. Because we've done all this research up at the top, we've actually hit our context window, which is how much AI can remember at the same time. So we've hit all million characters of the context window, which is an insane amount. And it's because of this earlier research phase that we did here. So when we came up here and it went and pulled all this research into here, we also pulled in all of the Fathom and Zoom recordings for all 48 calls in order to do this. So it's pulled in probably 200,000 words from the calls that we did, plus it then pulled in the research as well. And it's going to bring all that back in a second once it finishes the compacting. Compacting is one of the most useful things that these systems now do, because they didn't used to do it. And when they didn't do it, what would happen is everything would suddenly stop being useful. Like in the very, very early days, you'd be talking to Claude or ChatGPT, and you'd be halfway through something, and it would just like start saying the word sea monkey or mushroom or banana. It would just go completely AWOL on you in the middle because it had lost the ability to understand its own conversation, which people found funny, and it was funny. But what was in some ways more amusing was the fact that humans do the same things. Right? If you've ever been in one of those corporate jobs, which I can't say I have, but I understand this from other people, if you've ever been in one of these corporate jobs where you end up in like 3-4 hour meetings, by the time you finish the 3-4 hour meeting, you understand very, very little of what's going on. So whilst this is compacting, I'm going to swap screens again, which might cause you to lose the ability to context switch with me, but we shall see. So here I'm just going to do the discovery. Hey, so I want to publish on LinkedIn. I don't need your help with that at the moment. We're doing that in another thread. But I want one of those kind of like you get ManyChat and Instagram, comment this and I'll send you this. I'm wondering how we do that on LinkedIn. Can we do that? Or can the Composio LinkedIn connector do that on like a schedule? Can we get Composio to check LinkedIn for any comments on a specific article and then it comment back or not? Is that doable? Let's find out. So now that's going and researching that. Let's come back over here. It's 11 pages predicted, not the predicted 12. Page 9 ends clearly with a recap. Now let me check those pages. Go deeper is now its own page. Now check page 11. Okay. If this way of thinking clicked, exactly what we went through live, or we can start the clubhouse, what's happening in AI, join us here. Yes. Sources behind this in full, yes. Perfect. Okay. So first thing now I want to do is take that and turn it into a usable link. I'm just going to drag it to a system that I use called JumpShare, which I fully recommend. So I'll put this in the chat. If you want this, you can get it here. There you are. You can get access to what we just produced live on stage, which is pretty fun. And then let's see where this is. So it's searching now for Composio. And I think I'm probably going to now leave this till next week. And we can come back, we can actually jump straight back into this exact piece of it next week. Of how are we now going to distribute this lead magnet, where are we going to use it, how are we going to use it, how are we going to turn it into value to us. Because producing it is fantastic, but how we're going to distribute it to the world is a different thing. If we're using ManyChat, Instagram, this is super simple. Comment this and I'll send you this. You've all seen those and probably all used those, and some of you are probably using them. LinkedIn is a slightly different beast. So we need to go and find out how we does it. The reason that it works in Insta is because this, LinkedIn doesn't have an equivalent, and it's not a Composio, it's LinkedIn locking it in. Two things that are missing this, there's no tool to send. I also checked in, there are shady third-party tools, What you actually can do compliantly is the link in the comments. You post the comment. The catch is the trigger, so there's no way to auto-detect new comments. Something needs to tell the automation someone just commented. That something has to be a human. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to find a way around that next week. Okay, well, with that said, I think we're at time. So thank you very much. I've enjoyed this. I hope you have. Here's some other things you could do with this. So you can go and create Fathom and Zoom to go and look at as a connector in Claude. You can get that to go and look at your IP, find the IP, enrich the IP, produce it into the PDF. That's what we did today. The other things you could do is you could run this as a daily skill. So you could turn this into a skill just by typing convert this to a skill. And you could then ask that skill to run on a schedule. So you could ask it to do this every Friday, go through and find the IP and just wait for your approval and then produce it. Or if you really want to go wild, you could ask it to do it every single day and every single week, and you could ask it to produce the IP automatically. Which might be pretty cool. So you could literally you could wake up on a Saturday morning or a Monday and you could have 48 new lead magnets just sitting in your inbox for you to review. I would recommend wherever you can that you do longer running things like this overnight where you can. So you may have two skills. Skill number one goes through and finds the IP and suggests which one. And then skill number two, so it comes back to you and says, here's everything I found, what do you like? And you say 1, 8, 9 and 16. That then writes it to a CSV or a table. And then you have another skill that runs through afterwards, like an hour later or a day later. And then it goes and produces the ones that you want with any comments that you added. That's probably the right way to do it. So you still got what's called a human in the loop. So it's not just producing a whole bunch of stuff. However, if it did it overnight on a schedule, who cares how long it takes? As long as you come back and they're all there, you can just delete the ones you don't want. So that'd be another interesting way. So you can take it deeper by looking at how you do it on a schedule. That'd be fun. You can also then take it deeper and run on how do you then distribute it and how do you push it out into the world. So either way, you can get this out. I'm just going to have a quick look through the comments. I don't know YouTube names yet, so I know that I know you, but I don't know who you are. It took me weeks to create my first lead magnet a couple of years ago. Life's become much easier, more than welcome. And I think the other thing about this, Liberty, is now you can start creating them on demand for specific situations, because if they do take, which they do, like weeks and days to produce them, then you have to force fit your content into the lead magnet. Whereas this way round, you can just do what I did, just chat and talk, and the transcription from this is going to become another lead magnet. So we can constantly just talk about what we want to talk about to who we want to talk about, and we get it, and we push it out. Nomad, I think you crushed it on YouTube yourself, so congratulations to you again. Right, with that said, thank you. We'll be back here next week, noon Eastern, every Tuesday. We probably will work on this LinkedIn side of things next week, so I think that's a really nice place to take it. So next week, let's work on how we take this into LinkedIn. If you're watching this and you're not part of our world, peterswain.com/clubhouse. We have a program where we meet live every Thursday on Zoom, so I actually do get to see your face and we can interact a bit. It's $49 a month. We'd love to see you there. peterswain.com/clubhouse. And until then, see you next week. Cheers. Bye.